So there's a lot of things that could happen under a Trump administration. A lot of crazy things that could happen. And we're going to see probably over the next 4 years a lot of crazy things happen. But some things, though, are a lot of people are worried about. And I think one of the legitimate ones is, first of all, another pandemic potentially happening. And that there is enough, medical experts looking at some of the stuff going on, generally worried about, oh, there might actually be another pandemic under Trump. And bear in mind how bad Trump reacted to the first pandemic back in 2020. You've got to remember now, a lot of his administration is staffed full of anti-vaxxers. So if there is another pandemic, the response from it by America could be even worse than Trump's response to the first pandemic. And that should scare you. Like, that should generally scare you because this could actually worsen any worldwide pandemic, and Trump's ineffective response to it could make it 10 times worse around the world because he refuses to go into isolation, lockdowns, mask mandates. Maybe, of course, he doesn't make the jab, universal. All the kind of stuff that could go wrong here. However, there is, of course, another one, and that is, of course, the economy. Remember, Trump pretty much ran on the fact that he was the economic guy. He was going to make things so much more better for the US economy. Meanwhile, of course, you look at, last Trump's term in office, he wasn't actually very, very good on the economy at all. And one of the big things that I think people are worrying about is the fact that Trump could send crypto into the mainstream by, rather than regulating this industry, which it needs a lot of regulation, Trump could instead take what very little of the regulation that already exists around crypto and just strip it away even more. So before we get more into this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and of course subscribe button. Down below there are links to my Patreon page, the one donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, as always, there's the Pony Club down below as well. So thank you very much to everyone who does help and support the channel that way. So, yeah, for those of you who don't know, what is crypto? Crypto is basically a speculative asset that you basically gamble your money on in the hopes that your £100 investment might turn into £10,000. Like I say, it's a massive speculative asset. But if you look at what these people say about cryptocurrency, they're like, oh no, you don't understand. This is like the currency of the future. But crypto isn't treated as a currency. A pound is always going to be worth a pound regardless. Meanwhile, the price of Bitcoin just goes crazy almost every single day. A single Bitcoin is never just worth one Bitcoin. It will just zoom up and down, and do loop-de-loops because it is just a speculative asset. It isn't based in anything. It hasn't got anything securing it to anything. This is why fiat currencies are good. This is why you have fiat currencies. But this crypto stuff, it is an entirely speculative asset. It is basically gambling on this. And as most financial experts have pointed out, you could probably put the same amount of money into an ISA or something like that, and you would get a better return on your investment than you would with crypto. So there you go. But there are a lot of people worried that under this next Trump administration, that Trump, as I said at the beginning, is going to strip away what very few protections there are for these people that get sucked in to investing in crypto. Meanwhile, of course, we've seen things like the fall of FTX and what happened to Sam Bankman-Fried, uh, basically massively scamming everyone. There's not just that as well. There have been numerous crypto coins that have basically been full-on pump and dump schemes. Companies just buying a load of assets, launching the coin, and then selling it at the highest price it can, and then leaving, well, the rest of the, shall we say, latecomers very high and dry. Um, there was a crypto crash not that too long ago. This wiped out hundreds of thousands of people who basically were conned into investing in crypto as this, ultimate asset. And there were people who put their entire life savings into crypto and then they lost it overnight because of that. And there's again no protection, no anything like that, no recourse. There's no very little to no investigation that goes on into some of these things. And if you want a good expert or someone to watch who is talks about this quite a lot, um, a guy called Matt Bender. He talks a lot about what goes on in this community, what these companies do, and of course, most pretty much weekly, the disasters and some of the stories that don't get covered about what goes on when people invest in crypto, because it never often is good. There's always this like one exception of like the guy who invested like, I don't know, $100 and now it's like $1 million or something like that. That is the incredibly rare exception to the rule. And what people are worried about is that if this gets more mainstream companies into investing in this, and we've seen BlackRock go and have a look at potentially investing into crypto. This might make it more mainstream, which might encourage more investors. And the problem is that this is a massive speculative asset. It, like I say, the numbers on crypto will constantly do a complete loop de loop, and a double backflip by the end of the day, and it could be worth less than the day it started on. If enough people do invest in this and then there ends up being a crash, which again, this is the type of thing that will happen with this currency because it is not secured by anything. If there is a crash on it, this could have very, very bad repercussions. When you see, bubbles, which is what people are thinking that Trump is going to inflate this crypto bubble, when it bursts, and all bubbles eventually burst, um, it will have huge, wide-ranging effects, and even take out companies that never had anything to do with crypto, and affect the entire potentially economy, potentially even starting a recession. Uh, we saw this with the dot-com boom between 1998 and 2000. You know, Trump is proposing the exact same thing of what happened then. And if it does go through with that, it could have big ramifications for the economy. But that's just one of probably the things maybe Trump might do during his term in office. We'll find out, I suppose, in, well, less than a week. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.